Up next is District Attorney's presentation, so I would invite them to the microphone, and you and Brandy can proceed.
Thank you very much. I'm District Attorney John Wentworth, Chair Parks, Chair Smith, and members of the Board of County Commissioners and Budget Committee members. Thank you so much for having us here this afternoon. I've asked Brandy Pelham, my office administrator, to join me. If you see her whispering in my ears, because I need to clarify something. She knows the budget much better than I do. But what I want to present this afternoon is to explain first that, as many of you know, but some of you may not, that this was my first elected year in office. And there were a number of issues that I had to address as I came in and learned about the operations of the office from an administrative level, not just as a worker bee. We did an assessment of our workload among our deputy DAs and our support staff, assessed our backlogs, and that caused us to reevaluate our staffing levels, which I'm going to talk a lot about this afternoon. Part of the challenges that we've had over the last couple of years, I'll use the C word, COVID, has made it difficult on our office. As you know, court operations didn't stop in Clackamas County, but they certainly slowed down. And that caused us to be unable to resolve cases that we otherwise would have resolved, which has created an increased active caseload among our deputy DAs and support staff. So that's been a challenge that we've had to deal with. We also, and I've mentioned to a few of you over the course of the last year, that prosecutors now in modern times have increased responsibilities that we didn't have 20 years ago. When I first started, we're much more active in what I would describe as post-conviction issues. That includes specialty courts, expungements, governor's clemencies. There's a new law that requires us to review, or we can review past sentences and convictions of folks to see whether we want to change the history of that, go back and revisit that. That has dramatically increased the caseload, the active caseload of the work that my prosecutors do, and that's just an example. There's also an increased responsibility from law enforcement, which includes my office, for better communication and transparency within our office with the public. That cannot be understated. It's required, I think, in our modern time, and it's a challenge to let the public know that they can have trust in the work we do because they can see the work that we do. But I want to hasten to add that all of our work is conducted in public view, so that's important for the folks to know. So when I came in, we had 16 open positions in my office, in other words, vacancies, that we filled because we needed to get that work done. And that was a significant improvement to the workload among our staff. We've worked on identifying gaps in the services that we provide. I have collaborated with the county administrator to add 8 additional staff to my office to get the work done. So thank you for that opportunity because it's making a huge difference. And then we continue to utilize a paperless process in our office through a case management system that was instrumental in allowing us to actually continue operations smoothly during the COVID and wildfire crises and ice storms and all the things that the county has faced. So that continues to pay dividends just generally in the office, but certainly in those times of emergency, it's been quite a godsend. So as you'll see, if we go to tab 10.5, our general fund support is at $13,945,508. That's a net increase of 16.3%, or almost $2 million, for a total of $17,226,302. That is, as I'll discuss in a minute, almost all personnel that we've added to our staff. We've added, we're in the process of adding 4 deputy DAs, 3 legal assistants, and a victim advocate, which are all critical to the operations of our office. We've also, much like all other departments, had an increase in personnel costs for merit and cost of living increases. And we've increased our training budget, and we also had a vehicle purchase that is captured in some of those numbers. One of the areas of savings, unfortunately, if you can say that, but it is that we were required to move out of one of the buildings that we were occupying because it flooded twice, all in 1 week. And the building essentially became uninhabitable. So our office consolidated from 4 different buildings within the county. We're down to what Brandy has described as 2.5. We're down in 2.5 buildings, which is accurate. That was quite a load for my office to deal with, but that's where we are. You'll notice in the cost for materials and services, those are in line, if not lower than offices our size. So we're happy with where we are with that. And if I can go to tab 1007 or 1007, just to discuss our revenue, our beginning fund balance we were operating with a carryover that no longer occurs, so there's a $350,000 gap there that we don't have. And there's $11,000 left from criminal forfeiture that we're using for other projects within the office. Our federal, state, local, and gifts and donations is down 5.9%. We lost a VOCA grant, which is in part what was the cause of that. Our charges, fees, and assessments are up 17%. That's for discovery revenue, the cost from the defense. Our providing them with the information regarding the cases. They pay us to make those copies and provide them with that. We also have revenue from family support through federal incentives and through charging for reimbursements for paternity tests. So that accounts for the 17.1%. Expenses, as I mentioned, personnel is the bulk of our expenses, much like in many other departments. 84% of our costs are from personnel. There was an increase of 9.5% over the last budget year because we increased our staff by the 8 that I mentioned. Materials and services account for about 13% of our costs. There was a 10.4% increase of $215,455. In part, you'll see in this line item a 1,946% increase in repairs and maintenance, and that's because we had to retrofit some of our existing buildings to account for moving out of the building that flooded. So that was an unfortunate expense for us. And then we also have an increase in cost for our law clerks, which is another program that we operate that we frankly couldn't survive without. They do a lot of the work that attorneys would otherwise do at a much lower cost while giving them an opportunity to learn and get an education about what it's like to work in the legal field. So we're proud to have our law clerks as part of our program as well. And then the other thing I just want to mention, you'll see there's a special payment of $480,000. That is money that comes from the state through CAMI funds that is directed to our MDT and then on to the Children's Center to provide services to children who've been abused for medical evaluations and therapy evaluations and that sort of thing. So with that, that summarizes the budget from my perspective, and I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Questions, anyone? Commissioner Smith.
The new addition of 8 FTEs. Thank you, my mic wasn't on. The new addition of the 8 FTEs provided by the general fund, when are those hire dates? Is it July 1st? Or
No.
has that already happened?
We've made offers on some. They can't start until we've hired two DDAs who we still need them to pass the bar, so we'll get them on board hopefully in September. Fingers are crossed. And we have 2 others that I've just sworn one in last week, and I'm swearing another one in at the end of this week. So we're seeing the help there. And then I believe we've hired the staff for 3 of the other FTEs and the victim advocate. So
Okay, so we
we're
have
underway.
4 attorneys, 1 victim advocate, and then 3 what I call support staff, for better word,
That's
whatever.
right.
Okay, good, thank you.
Yep.
We thank you very much for being here and your presentation and your great budget. Thank you.